In this video, we're going back to the basics. We'll use simple beginner tangles, and I'll talk about some of the foundational concepts of the Zentangle method. And I hope you'll keep watching to the end because I'm going to show you some tricks and tips for step 6, shading. Hello, precious friends. If you're new here, my name is Brenda Campbell. I'm an artist and a certified Zentangle teacher. If you're already a friend, I am grateful for your return. I will be your guide as we go through the 8 steps of the Zentangle method of drawing. This is a practice, one that helps us to slow down, even if just for a moment in this crazy, chaotic world. I use the Zentangle method to find calm, inspiration, and mindfulness. My life has been changed forever because of this practice, and that is why I believe it's magic. If you're looking for a way to bring some mindfulness into your day, you can find it here. If you're looking for inspiration, you'll find that here too. I hope you'll grab a pen and some paper and draw with me. Let's practice mindfulness together. Before we begin, let's take a moment and talk about what we are going to use for our practice today. So I will be drawing on a 3.5-inch square classic Zentangle tile. We call this classic because this is where we began. Zentangle came out with this as their first tile, and it is small, 3.5 inches, so there's not a whole lot of space to fill, and it's a little less intimidating than a big piece of paper. I'm also going to be using a Sakura Micron 03 pen in black. The 03 indicates the size of the nib, and 03 is a pretty small, average type size. A lot of Zentangle is practiced with an 01 nib pen, and sometimes I use that, but I find it to be a little too fine of a point for my taste. So today I'm going to compromise and use an 03. I also have a pencil and a tortillon for blending out the graphite, and that is all we need. This is one of the wonderful benefits of the Zentangle method, is that you really don't need that much. Okay, let's clear our space and get ourselves ready for step 1, gratitude and appreciation. In this step, we are going to just slow ourselves down and bring ourselves into a place where we are aware of what's happening in this moment. That's mindfulness. So we begin with 3 big, deep breaths, breathing in fully and breathing out slowly. And again, big breath in and slow breath out. One final big breath in and out. And now just let your breath fall into a natural breathing rhythm. And pay attention to it. Just notice your breath as you inhale and exhale. Try to settle into this moment a little bit more with every exhale. Now take a moment to think of something that makes you smile. And whatever the first thought is that comes into your mind, hold on to that thought. Because if you're smiling, I'm certain it's something you're grateful for. So think on that and pay attention to how it makes you feel. How does gratitude feel? Remember this feeling, and as we're drawing today, if you reach a spot where maybe you're rushing a bit, or perhaps your lines have a mind of their own, it's okay. Just stop yourself and take a big breath in and a slow breath out. And then you'll be ready to go back to drawing. And that, precious friends, is all there is to step 1, gratitude and appreciation. Step 2 is corner dots, and we're going to use our pencil, and we are going to put a dot in each of the 4 corners of our tile. Step 3 is a border. We create the border by connecting the dots. Step 4 is a string, and today's string is going to be like a curvy S-shaped line, and I'm going to come in from the side of the border, and I'm just going to do this S, and it's going to go off the tile on the bottom. And then I want to do a curvy circle loopy line right there. And that is all we're going to need for our string today. Step 5 is the tangles, and we are going to begin step 5 with the tangle Xander. I really enjoy this tangle, and we are going to learn about and have the opportunity to practice drawing auras in this tangle. Now, the aura is one of the foundational concepts of the Zentangle Method. And the aura is simply a line that follows the shape of the line or the shape that it's next to. So we are going to begin Xander with a series of bands, I'm going to call them. And they're going to look like like a C, the letter C on its back. And I'm going to come in here and make these bands go across my S-shaped line at regular intervals as best I can. Okay, so now I've got the beginning of several bands. And the next thing we're going to do is aura this line. And I'm going to aura it, but I want to start by touching the end. And then I'm going to bring it down, aura the shape, and then touch the end again. So here we do it again. Aura, touch. Aura, touch. So now we have all of our bands. The next step in Xander is to draw lines that go through and behind all these bands. I like to think of Xander as, say, a bundle of sticks that are held together with these bands. So if you can imagine that, that might help with this tangle. So I'm going to start in the center as I always do, and I'm basically going to draw over top of my S-shaped line, but I'm going to start out beyond the border a touch, and that will be the end, if you will, of my first stick in my band of sticks. So now I'm going to come down, and again following the line, but I'm going to leave some breaks or spaces. So I've got a space here and a space here, and this will help us to give the illusion of a highlight once this tangle is done. You don't have to leave too many breaks. Okay, so there's our first line. Now we are going to aura this line, and I'm going to do it to the right, and then I'll flip it up and do the same thing on the other side. So again, I like the end of the stick to be kind of random, and I don't put any breaks in the sticks or in the lines that are on the ends. I'm going to leave those just solid. I'm only putting my highlight breaks in the center spaces. And I do like to alternate so that they're not completely straight or even lined up. But it really doesn't matter that much. There are no mistakes, and you may find you like to do it differently, and that's okay. Okay, and let's do one more. And this time I'm not going to put any breaks in. I'm just following the curve of the line next to it. It's also important to turn your tile. That helps you get more even lines. It also is more relaxing for your wrist. Okay, and one more. The aura is something that is really beneficial to practice. And it's also helpful to remember to slow down as you're drawing it. I will tell you from my own personal experience that rushing is not your friend when you're practicing the Zentangle method. Okay, I'm putting one more in here for now, and that just about fills up the space on this side of the band. Now, because we're not perfect, they're not going to line up perfectly. So here, my line would have actually gone outside the band, so I brought it inward so that it looks like the band is tucking them all together, tucking them all in around the band. Okay, and I think I'm going to do one more. And again, these will be tucked in when they meet the band. So they could be a little more rounded on the edge, and that's okay. If you think of what a band would do, it might do that. It might make it look more rounded as they bunch together. Okay, so I think I'm good on this side. Now I'm going to turn it upside down like I said I was. And we're going to do the same thing, but from the other side. So remember, this first line does get the breaks for the highlights. Okay, and another. This one does not have any breaks. Now you can put breaks in here or not. They don't have to all be uniform. I like to make 3 lines in the center with breaks and then leave the rest of them all without breaks. But again, this is just my personal choice. And you may prefer to do something different. And if you do, that is perfectly okay. And let's do one more. Hopefully one more will be good enough. And we'll have some rounded edges here. And you don't even have to add extra lines in a section if it's too full. So you can just leave it out if you want. And then when you're done, you can take a look at it and just decide for yourself if you want some more lines. This is bothering me just a smidge. That's okay. I think I'm going to add another one, but really close aura this time. And I think that just adds to the roundedness. Maybe I'll add one. Nah, I'm not going to add any more here. We're done. We're done with Sander. Oh, we're not done with Sander. I'm going to do something else here. I'm going to give it a little bit of love. And we're going to make these bands black. And I'm going to leave a highlight in the center and fill in the rest of it with solid black. That helps bring a little bit of drama. And if you follow me, you know I love drama. I like to add a little bit in every tile. It really just helps make things interesting. Okay, so here we go again, coming around, leaving that highlight in the center. And I like to use scratchy lines for my highlights. You can use straight lines, and that's okay. Again, it's just a personal choice. Okay, and this is our last band. And then we'll be finished with our zander. Okay, so that is our tangle zander. Now the next tangle we're going to draw, we're going to put in this little circle here, and that tangle is called Knightsbridge. And Knightsbridge is basically just a checkerboard square with black squares and white squares. I want this to look rounded though, and so I'm going to curve my lines. So I'm going to start with lines across from top to bottom. Trying to make them fairly even. And then we're going to curve these lines as well. These are going to curve the other direction. Okay, so now we have our grid, and I'm going to start filling in every other space with black. And what you want to know here is this little tip. If you always fill in your next space, you can start wherever you like, then your next space must touch the first one at the corner. So it could be this one, this one, this one, or this one, because they all touch on the corner. And you fill those in next, and then you just follow that rule as you go. Then you'll always be sure to do the right ones. If you're not careful, you may end up doing a square in black that should be white, and that's why I try to use this approach. These are some very beginner tangles, but they're awesome. And Knightsbridge is so fun for adding drama. I really do enjoy using this particular tangle. It just takes a little longer because of all of the black squares that you're filling in. I will, however, invite you to just enjoy the zen of filling in the spaces with black, because that can be just as meditative as drawing the lines. And because we drew our lines curved, we drew our grid lines curved, we have a little bit of shape just in the line itself, making this circular shape feel rounded and dimensional. We'll enhance that even more with our shading. But it's kind of interesting that we can do it just with the line sometimes. Okay, I think that's all I need for that little space there. Now the next tangle we're going to draw is tipple, and tipple is just orbs or circles. We don't like to say circles because we're not perfect, but that's okay. And we're going to draw these orbs in this space here on this side of Xander and around our Knight's Bridge. And we're going to learn something here that is the second foundational concept that we teach with the Zentangle Method, and that is the one of drawing behind. So we are going to draw these tipple or these orbs so that this little rounded shape looks like it's sitting on top of it and that it tucks underneath our Xander. So we're going to start anywhere, and I'm just going to draw a circle. Now, I like to keep mine fairly large. And I'm going to draw these, I like to draw some random ones first. And I vary the size as I do. Okay, so I've got some random ones here. Now I'm going to draw more, and these are all going to go maybe behind. So if I draw one here, let's say I draw this one. It's kind of tucked a little bit under that one. And then let's say I'm going to draw another one. And this one is tucked a little under that one and then under our Xander. So let's draw another one. This one gets tucked underneath our little rounded shape. This one is like a half a one that's tucked underneath there. And I'm really just going to keep filling in my rounded orbs until the space is filled. Okay, so now we have all of our tipple filled in, and they're going behind. They're like dumped on top of one another, and they're underneath this and underneath our zander. So now we've got this big space over here, and I am going to put a tangle in here that I kind of enjoy. This tangle is called a maze, and it is a single line. It can be more than one, but I usually try to do it in a single line. And we just fill in the space. This is a texture tangle. It is going to fill in all of this space. And let's go ahead. I'm going to start with this space here. I'm going to just pull the line right out from underneath zander. Now this tangle requires you to go slow. And the line wanders wherever it wants to go. To some degree, it could be aura-ing the line it's next to. But it also can go off in its own direction. You just want to go slow and let your line wander. Try not to block yourself in as you go, so you can maintain a single line. But if you get blocked in, don't worry about it. Just start a new line. I'm actually not making this go behind my zander. I'm just filling in my space here. This is just a fun little wandering line. Remember to breathe. And slow down if your line is starting to go where it wants instead of where you want. Okay, I left a little space here. I might put my chop in there, but that's step 7, so we got a ways to go. Don't worry, you don't have to leave an extra space. I just thought I might do it anyway, so we're finished with step 5, the tangles. And now we're going to have some fun with step 6, the shading. So we're finished with our pen. I put my cap on my pen, put it away, and I am picking up my pencil. We're going to begin our shading with zander. So what we're going to do first is to come up here and underneath these bands that we drew, we're going to put a little graphite. Now we're using the side of the tip of our pencil, and I am lightly adding graphite with small circular motions. Now shading is always best done in layers, because if you put too much in, then you really can't get it off unless you erase. We don't use erasers. Now I'm also taking a very light line of graphite on the sides of each of these sections. Let's come back up here now. This one. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my tortillon. This is just looks like a piece of rolled paper. They roll it up to bring it to a point, and we're going to use it to blend out the graphite. So let's begin with the bands. Just like when we added the graphite, we used the side of the tip of the pencil. We're going to use the side of the tip of the tortillon to blend. And small circular motions, and I'm just kind of pulling it away from the band. So blending it around and down away from the band. So that already helps it give it a little bit of dimension, as you can see. Okay, now I was just kind of blending around the stray frayed edges, I guess. And it doesn't really matter, it's not a big deal. There are no mistakes when we're drawing with the Zentangle method. So when a line doesn't go where we want, we just roll with it. Sometimes we can create something brand new, and sometimes we just want to cover it up. It's all good. Either way, we have a way to deal with mistakes, and it's not a problem. There are none. No mistakes. Okay, that is our Xander, and that's all we need for that tangle. So I'm going to grab my pencil again, and we're now going to focus on our little Knightsbridge circle here. And I'm going to begin by putting graphite right on the pencil line we drew. Now I'm not putting it over the black because it will just make the black actually lighter. Here we've got some orbs there. Okay, and now I'm going to go around the outside and add a little bit more. Now I am adding quite a bit here because I want to have a very dramatic effect with this particular tangle. And we're going to blend it out and away from the orb. So circular motion and pull it away. All the way around. And as you pull it away, it just gets lighter. That's the plan, that's the idea. It's darkest where they meet, and then it just blends till it's lighter and lighter coming away. Okay, so now I have a nice dark layer around the outside. I'm now going to, with just what's left on my tortillon, blend it up into the shape but again, only on the white, trying to keep it off the black. And this helps give it that dimensional feel. It feels like it's an actual rounded shape you could hold in your hand. Now, I'm going to pick up my pen one more time, and I'm going to show you one more step for this that's going to help kind of seal the deal, if you will. It would be the absolute darkest where this orb goes over top of these tipple. So what we want to do is we want to darken that line where they meet. And that's why I'm going back in with my pen. And I'm going over that pencil line, the edge of our shape. Okay, so that is very helpful. And then I'm going to kind of go back over these black squares where it looks like they got a little bit of graphite on them. We're just going to darken them up a little bit. Bring the black back. Okay, I think we've done it. So there you can tell now there's an even more distinct dark line to guide that shadow. And I think it gives it a much better dimension. So let's go on to tipple next. And there's not too much more we need to do. But on these larger orbs, I want to draw this kind of smile in the bottom corner. You can put this in any corner. And I'm really just doing this in the larger ones. Then I'm going to blend that out. And as I do, I'm going to blend it around the perimeter, making it darker in the bottom corner there. And that is what gives our orbs their circular shape. Okay, here we go. So blend that smile out around the smile and then around the perimeter. Now where one goes behind the other, it would be darker there. So there's a lot you can do with this shading. And some of these orbs are too small to worry about. So we're just focused on the bigger ones. I like to think the smaller ones will just kind of take care of themselves. I'm just putting a little bit of graphite in each one of these orbs that are small, but I'm not really worried about it too much. That one would be darker because it's behind. Okay, I think we've got some dimension, some pretty good dimension in all of these orbs. Okay, so I think we're done shading our tipple. But now I want to put some space or some separation between our Xander and our tipple. So I'm bringing my pencil back out, and wherever the Xander meets the tipple, we're going to put some more graphite. This is going to help the zander to look a little more dimensional, but it also is going to help us clearly see that it is on top of those tipple. And that's really kind of what we want. So now we're going to blend that out right over top of our tipple. That's okay. Darker right next to the zander, and then getting lighter as we pull it away. Okay, so we've got that side, and it's really, you can really see that nice dark shadow between the zander and the tipple. I like it. So let's flip it upside down, and we're going to add graphite to this side of zander, just like we did over here. Even though our amaze did not go behind the zander, we still want to put this nice dark layer of graphite between them. Then we're going to blend it out with our tortillon. Darkest right where they meet, and then just kind of pull it away as it gradually gets lighter. I turn my tortillon and I kind of roll it as I go, and that kind of keeps the graphite a little more evenly distributed. It also helps to keep my tortillon a little bit more pointed. Okay, so I've got separation on both sides of my zander. It looks pretty good. I'm beginning my pencil back out, and we are going to shade Amaze, this whole section, just by putting graphite around the perimeter of the tangle. So we've got a nice graphite on this side, so we don't need any more there. And I'm just kind of blending on the side of my tip again. Circular motions, lightly adding this graphite. Okay, and now we're going to blend it out around the perimeter and inward towards the inside of this tangle. I'm using larger circular motions here because I really want to blend it in a little bit farther. You can use this shading technique on any tangle, actually. Just shade the perimeter of it and don't worry about it. Sometimes with tangles, it's easier to shade the perimeter, and it depends on what else is going on the tile. You might want more definition, but you just certainly don't need to. I find it's kind of hard to shade a maze any other way than shading it around the perimeter. So we are finished with the shading, step 6. Oh, one more thing. I'm going to add some more love to our zander. So I'm going to pick up my pen again, and just like we added this line around this circular shape, we are going to redraw the outside lines of our zander. And when you're redrawing, you want to go really slow. And you can see that it's making a difference, bringing that real dark line in there. Okay, I'm going to do this side now. Okay, I don't think I need to redraw that one. So now we're finished with step 6, the shading, and we added some love back in with our pen, which is okay. And now we're moving on to step 7, which is to initial and sign. So I'm going to grab my pen again, and I'm first going to take a look at my tile. Let's look at it from each direction. See if there's a better way for us to place our chop or initials. Actually, I think I like this orientation. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it like this. And I'm going to draw my chop or my stylized initials right here. So my B and my C all stylized in my chop. Now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to sign it and date it. But I always date it off camera. But date your tiles or your artwork so you can have a reference when you look back on it. You can see your progress. And if you want, you can put any notes on here. You can name your tangles. You can say anything else you like. I'm just going to make a note that I created this for my Mindful Monday 78 video. Then we flip it back over. And all we have to do now is sit back and appreciate again. So we can appreciate that we took some time for ourselves today. We can appreciate this fun little piece of art that we drew. I appreciate each and every single one of you, and I'm just so grateful that you spent some time with me today. So that is all I have. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you drew along. You know I love to see your work, so if you do post it anywhere, just tag me. I'll find it eventually. And so that's all there is for today. I will leave you with this thought, as I always do. Till next time, remember to be you and be happy.